Today, as we celebrate our 200th episode, we take a moment to look back and forward on the mission of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Since our launch 4 years ago, this program has spanned one president's full term, the departure of 2 Planned Parenthood leaders, and the confirmation of 3 Supreme Court justices. Welcome to our special edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Since launching in early 2017, there's been no shortage of stories to cover here at EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Over the past 4 years, we've tracked shakeups in the abortion industry, from the departure of longtime President Cecile Richards.
I'm announcing that I will be stepping down from my position as president of Planned Parenthood this year.
To the breakneck speed in which Dr. Lena Wynne was enacted president and then ousted within less than a year, after saying she intended to make Planned Parenthood focus less on abortion.
Congratulations.
There have been moments that shocked the nation when New York Governor Andrew Cuomo lit the World Trade Center pink to celebrate his extreme abortion law. And who could forget those now infamous comments from Virginia Governor Ralph Northam that sounded like a defense of infanticide.
The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable.
We've documented the moments in which our pro-life movement pauses to reflect and have tough, important conversations.
The world is watching us. They want to see how we're going to respond, and they want to know if we care about the pain that so many are feeling, especially in the Black community.
Then there have been the historic pro-life accomplishments, from Capitol Hill to the steps of the Supreme Court. In our 4 years, we have reported on the nomination and confirmation of 1 to 3 new Supreme Court justices who are largely viewed as respecting the right to life. We continue to speak with members of Congress.
They talk about choice. Choice to do what? Dismember and decapitate an unborn child.
Catholic Church leaders.
Killing children in the mother's womb, just as killing children outside of the womb, is not something we need revelation to understand is wrong.
And cabinet officials.
What we need to recognize as a country is that this is our best resource, our people.
We've also heard from hidden pro-life heroes and those who help shape and influence our culture.
From a biblical standpoint, the support for the pro-life position is pretty strong, but it really is science that I find to be the best argument.
Looking ahead now, we know we will stay busy with our pro-life mission as we report on the many stories to come with a Catholic president who is pushing an aggressive abortion agenda. And EWTN Pro-Life Weekly would not be possible without our next 2 guests. Michael Warsaw is chairman of the board and CEO of EWTN. Marjorie Dannenfelser is president of the Susan B. Anthony List. Welcome back to you both. Congratulations on the 200th episode, a collective congratulations. I first just love to hear your thoughts as we look back on our first 200, because this really is a fruit of your vision. Michael, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's wonderful, and it's hard to believe, frankly, that we're here 4 years later. But I think the work that this show has accomplished during this incredible time, as you just reviewed in that previous piece, what the show has accomplished and what's been able to be done here, I think has been significant. I think the show has been a significant voice in the public square for issues of life, which is exactly what we wanted it to be when we first talked about this type of show and this partnership that has brought us together.
Marjorie, what's going through your mind as we look back on the first 200 episodes?
Oh, I remember thinking there is no group of people that could be more influential than the EWTN community in general. And how we talked a little bit about how do we collapse the distance between them and what's happening on Capitol Hill and at the White House and in legislatures across the country and the pro-life movement in general, so that they could be really even better advocates for this cause. And I think what we've seen so providentially, that these 4 years have been among the most, I would say probably the most consequential in the entire pro-life movement. We're stronger 4 years than 4 years ago than that strength has increased in that period of time more than any other time. And you have been here not just documenting, but inspiring, uplifting, activating, raising voices at just the right moment. And I think that we have still a lot of work to do, but we have so far set out what I believe you accomplished to do, which was re-engage everybody at home in the battle at hand to save lives.
It's really incredible all that's happened the past 4 years. And Michael, we are in a different place today than we were 4 years ago when this show launched. For one, there's a new president in the White House. You wrote a recent commentary in the National Catholic Register, and I'm going to read part of that quote. President Biden campaigned as a Catholic and throughout his career has often cited his Catholic faith as his guidepost. Yet the vision he articulated as a candidate and which is guiding both his administration and his party puts him squarely at odds with many of the church's teachings, especially on the preeminent issue of the defense of unborn life. Michael, can you speak to this moment in history for Catholic Americans when it comes to the pro-life issue, and perhaps what opportunities does this present for EWTN News and EWTN Pro-Life Weekly?
Well, I think the position taken by President Biden, both throughout the campaign and now that he's in the White House and directing policy, is very confusing for Catholics. And I think it's very clear that while the president and his spokespeople like to talk about how devout of Catholic he is, in point of fact, his positions on the life issues especially just simply are not in line with Catholic teaching. And I think we've seen our bishops try to grapple with this. I think we've seen the tensions within the church as we try to deal with this and understand what this means. I think for us and for Pro-Life Weekly and for EWTN, I think this is a great opportunity for us. You know, it's a challenge, but challenges are also moments of great opportunity. And I think it's for us to redouble our efforts and our mission to be very clear and to make very clear to all who listen what the church's teaching is, and that life is the preeminent issue. I don't think we can say that often enough. And I think that's what's missing in certainly this administration and in certain quarters of the church where there seems to be a tendency to want to try to go along to get along. We can't pursue some sort of artificial unity just for the sake of unity when there are fundamental issues here that the issue of life that we have to speak out on and continue to speak out on and continue to engage on.
To speak truth amidst this confusion. Marjorie, given President Biden's aggressive abortion agenda, what do you see as a priority for the pro-life movement and for Catholics right now? What do you think Catholics and pro-lifers need to be honed in on?
Well, I couldn't agree more with you, Michael, and that clarity is a gift. To know exactly where we should stand, where our opponents in this case, where the President of the United States stands, is he in contradiction to our faith, to what we believe, or is he with us? Clearly he's not. It's important for us to see that. So what we should be honed in on, in my opinion, is number one, not to be distracted with all the disappointments of late. That our greatest strength is in what we have already accomplished in the last 6 years, and that is through the Supreme Court, over 230 new judges across the federal court system, and all of the massive number of pro-life pieces of legislation coming up from real people in real states that want their voices and their opinions expressed in the law. That huge amount of legislation coming towards the court at just the right time in history means that there is a lot to hope for, but one thing we must do, and that is to make sure that on the federal level in the Senate, that we make sure that the filibuster stays in place. And that basically comes down to Senator Joe Manchin and maybe a couple of other senators. If he changes his position on that, that means that they can stack the courts, they can change the makeup of the Supreme Court, which means everything that we've worked for will be taken away, and that the founders' balance of powers between the three branches of governments is completely unalterably changed in a way that makes it a policy reaction, not a steady rudder for democracy in terms of being invested in the Constitution. So staying focused on that filibuster rule, and then also looking down the road, not too far, toward all this legislation coming up and being supportive of that in your state right now.
The stakes are high. Michael, you knew EWTN foundress Mother Angelica very well, and we found a powerful clip of Mother back in 2000 speaking about the issue of life. Let's take a listen.
It's an abomination to God, the culture of death. An abomination to God, the culture of death. You don't have a right. I don't have a right. Nobody has a right to call death upon someone God has called to life.
Strong words. Michael, can you speak about Mother Angelica's conviction for the life issue, and having known her so well, what do you think she'd make of this time that we're living in right now?
Sure. Well, you know, I think Mother was very clear, as that piece showed, in her support for life and the importance of life and the life issue. I think because of her own personal sufferings and the depth of that suffering, and all of the things that she went through in her life, physical sufferings, emotional sufferings, all of these things, yet, you know, she was able to do these remarkable things through God's providence. And I think that gave her just a unique insight when it came to the issues of life and the value of life and the importance of every life and the meaning that every life created by God brings. And so I think it motivated her to be strong and vibrant and you know, to defend life at every stage, you know, and so I think she would be very, very proud of this show. I think she'd be very, very proud of you and the work that you do. That represents that legacy of Mother Angelica, that strong defense of life. I think when it comes to these days, I think she would be exactly, you know, where we saw in that piece. I think she would be encouraging us, you know, in a way to building off what Marjorie was saying, that all is not lost, and this is not, you know, a time to be, you know, down. It's a time to push forward. It's a time to be even more vocal and even stronger and more strident in our fight for life.
That's convicting. Marjorie, throughout these 4 years, we've also heard from pro-abortion critics. Senator Chuck Schumer, now Majority Leader, has tweeted out clips of the show. NARAL has listed us under anti-choice media. Do you take this as a sign that abortion activists are threatened, perhaps, by what we're doing here?
No, I have to tell you, that is sweet music. I just love reading those quotes. It means you're getting under their skin. The gift that you, Catherine Hadro, have been to this movement through this show. I am the chair of the Catherine Hadro fan club, if you want to look me up. Yeah, no, it's a huge club out there. And you yourself and the message that you're sending is getting under their skin. When SBA was tiny, and I started to get some of that feedback, I thought, oh yes, because really what it means is not getting under somebody's skin is important, but you don't necessarily know that you're really making any headway until they start to scream, and that is exactly what they're doing. And you know, I'm really proud of you. I really am.
Well, I'm grateful to you both. This has just motivated me further to continue on for the next 4 years. Thank you both, Marjorie Dannenfelser, Michael Warsaw. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.